Okay, so there's the handout, and if you have any questions, we're going to keep everybody muted for now. Questions will be opened up towards the end of the, or after the presentation, right before the demonstration, and then after the demonstration. If you have any questions, please use the question toolbar to have all that done. So, all right. So this is not going to be very long, probably anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the open discussion part. We're going to highlight the basic introduction of the program, how it works, how you can navigate through it as a manager and as a learner. So your employees, you can coach them as well. So why an LMS system? You know, our education process is getting more streamlined with technology, and online education is probably going to be the future of learning, and how we're going to be able to do more and more from our seats here at the office. Many big companies are already using online education for their training, and also helps promote their brand awareness to their companies, especially when you're talking about a franchise system or organization, such as like YMCA, things like that. It helps them promote and keep the brand standards up that way. Also, to keep training materials up to date. It's easy to update training materials if they're all in one location and all people go to one location to learn about that material. So it's easier for us as a franchisor to keep everything up to date for you. Also, to provide you with the training courses professionally designed specifically for Christmas Decor franchises. You find some different types of programs out there where there's just a mixture of different things. Some things apply to us, some things don't apply to us. It's kind of like the OSHA training if you went through that at conference. So it's important that you understand that as well, that this is designed just for us. This program is actually designed for any type of company, and that's where we find a few of our hiccups that some of y'all have experienced, is because this program or this software online platform is specifically designed for companies to use as an LMS system and not as a franchise system, which the good thing about this is we are the first for this company, which means they're going to be doing a lot of innovation just for us. So we can continue to improve the software online platform to better benefit and utilize for your control as a franchise manager or owner. And it's convenient. You can train anywhere, on the fly, at the airport, train station, on the job, in an office, on a rain day, bad weather day. So that's beneficial as well for you. Here's some companies that actually use SkyPrep. SkyPrep is the mother company that actually owns and also maintains the software platform. So you have people like the YMCA, the Vancouver sports team, United Way, the Bills, and then of course us, which is very beneficial here. What can it do? Well, first thing, it helps train new employees. You're taking a lot less physical time on a job site to walk an employee through it, which will increase your production rate, right? Because you're not having to have your lead team leader go through all these slow steps one by one if you didn't get to a training house like you should. Also provide continuing education for existing employees. I've already added a class as of yesterday, and it's going to be probably my primary role now is leading the LMS system up and adding new classes to it as we see fit, and also webinars. It's going to be a great tool to post webinars and also do an assessment. So if there's a webinar you want an employee to watch, you want to make sure that he actually watched it and didn't play on his phone. There will be an assessment, you know, brief few questions just to make sure really that he honestly watched and retained some of the information he saw. Keep franchise owners up to date on industry's trends. It's a great thing to do there as well. Allow franchise owners to track how their employees are learning. Very beneficial in that aspect. You send employees to regionals trainings, you send them to quick starts, you send them to Nighttime Decor University. I know a lot of you guys have and gals have actually asked the employees, what did you learn? Yada, yada, yada. Well, here in this application, we can actually run reports on each employee by a whole or even by a class to see how they're performing on the assessments. And then it's uniform training across the network. I can't preach that hard enough, and I bet a lot of you would agree that if we don't keep things uniformed, We also risk the brand standards as a nationwide, countrywide, and Canada-wide atmosphere here, where if one guy's performing poorly because he's not training properly, that actually hurts your name, so to speak, especially if they're in the same sort of region as you. So premier service and consistent branding and training across the franchise network will help everyone. So how does it work? Some courses are already up on the LMS system. This took a little while, especially converting the Spanish stuff around. Constantly adding and updating courses, like I just explained. Franchise owners will be able to manage, keyword manage there, because you will be a manager, not an admin, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Their employees, add learners, and track their progress. Contact your FCs to add classes to your employee's profile, or if you want to see another topic listed as a course. Half of that's true, half of that's false. It was all true at one point when we first launched the LMS system, but we are no longer, as FC, is going to add classes to your employee's profile. Why? With, who knows, maybe there's 500, 400 employees out there under Christmas Decor, and talking about your employees as well, that's what I'm talking about. It would take us FCs, 4 of us, to manage all of that would be another full-time job, and we just don't have enough hours in the days on top of everything else to do that at this point. So what we've done, we kind of did a workaround until SkyPrep can, again, innovate and add a new way for us as a franchisor and franchisee system to better allow you as a manager or your manager to assign certain classes to and certain employees. As of right now, the employee or the learner will be able to just go into a course selection and do its own learning path. And I'll show you how to do that in a live demonstration, very easy. And then of course, if you wanna see topics listed, please email me, your FC. We'd like to learn more about this. We'd like to see a class on that. And we will get that on the books, on the list to make. So new classes coming soon that we're going to be having up here. RGB training, summit trees, tree of lights, as you'll probably just read this and we'll read them all out. But do note a lot of these classes you see here, they're not going to happen today. They're not going to happen this week. There are probably some of them won't even happen this season. We kind of launched this in the late summer, as you saw at conference. There were a few hiccups. We're having to overstep some obstacles in the way, which we have. But right now, for example, Arcus. Arcus at this point serves a little purpose since the season for some of us have already started, or most of us at that fact. Arcus needed to really start, and that's why the Voyager program started almost 5 weeks ago. Oh, sorry, 8 weeks ago. We're on our 4th meeting. So that is basically Arcus in a nutshell, the Voyager program. And therefore, Arcus would not be any beneficial to anybody much as of right now, or if the class was made like in, say, 4 weeks, it'd be too late. You're already installing. But a lot of this stuff we're going to be working on. Here's the fact sheet that I made last week. I felt like this actually helped a lot of people. We got a question real quick. Let me check that. Yeah, there's a handout. Just real quick, there is this exact actually sheet right here, this fact sheet you're seeing right here. Take a screenshot if you want. It's also on the Facebook page, but honestly, I think there's a handout here that you can click on. On my screen, it might be a little bit different than yours, but it shows that you can actually download that, but we'll get through that later. So here's the LMS fact sheet. This actually has helped a lot of people, especially getting their first time into a fact sheet to understand exactly what's going on, how it really works. This has prevented a lot of phone calls for us at the corporate office. Very basic information. A lot of it we're going to cover here in the demonstration. So how it works. Each franchise will have one manager. That manager will be able to add users to their group and only to their group. Now, eventually down the road, we will be able for you to make subgroups. So you could split it between admin, sales, and maybe production, but that's in the future. The manager will be able to monitor the progress of their group by courses as a whole or a certain class by a person or a learner. Managers will be able to switch to learners mode to take a course themselves. So when you log in the first time, you'll notice you have a drop down box on the left where you can change your role from manager to learner. As a learner only, an employee, they only have the learner role. They cannot switch anything to but that. So here's their home screen when you first log in. As you can see, the drop down area on the left, manager. You have my groups, my courses, and then basically that's instructor-led classes, the last one. And then a manager home screen. When you get here, to add a user, we have to first click on my groups, circled on the left. And then once you're there, you'll click on your group name. And for example, we have Principal Lighting here. They've helped a lot in this software, getting it up and running, learning it, teaching, and all that kind of good stuff too. So you'll actually click on the group name or your company name, and you'll see next to it number of users in the group, report on group users, report on group courses, and then you can pick a specific course if you'd like to. You can message the group, all that kind of good stuff. Once you get there and you click on the name of your company, you get to this screen. Now this screen's going to give you all the group members in there, their email addresses. You can actually run the reports by a group, by the course, or overall courses, or a certain course. And you can also add a user on the top right. This is probably one of the most common questions I've received when this first launches. How do I add a user? I can't figure it out. So again, you go to groups, click on your group, then add a user. And it's also on the fact sheet. So right there, we click on the add user, we get to this screen. It's a little pop-up screen is kind of what it is. Really, the only thing you have to do is fill out the first three is the only thing that's really required. Anything below that is actually just optional fields that you can fill in if you're trying to track a lot of different employees. And then to run a report, you'll actually click on either one of these columns, actually, any of the blue clouds. And what we'll do is we'll bring it down into an Excel spreadsheet where then you can if you have your Excel skills, you can actually do filters and all that kind of good stuff and sort things out. But it'll give you overall, basically, you can monitor how many classes each learner has attempted. You can see how much time a learner spent on each class. Now, do take note about this. Let's look where it says it's the first 100% average on day completed 622. See, it has minutes, 1,537 minutes. That is not correct. What happened there, and you'll see it down there, is whenever the screen is left up. So let's say I started this at 1 p.m. and I went to a late lunch, and then I forgot I had 2 client appointments after that, and then I just didn't come back to the office, and the screen was left up the whole time. It would be counting those minutes. So don't be shocked if you see that. Let me check that real quick. All right. And then you can see how they did on each class. Percentage, progress done, average expectancy, and then you can also see what they scored as well. You can also sign up for email notifications. I will tell you this, it is kind of annoying, especially if you have a lot of employees. I made my own test account, which you'll see in just a minute. And the problem is every time I click to start a class, I got an email. Every time I finished answering all the questions, I got an email. Every time I finished watching a video, I got an email. So literally one course, I probably got closer to 5 to 8 emails. So if you have 8 people doing this at a time, it can be pretty bothersome and annoying. So you can actually turn that off if you choose to, and just run your reports weekly or daily, however you want to do that. But the option is there. So let's get into the live demonstration. All right. I'm trying to figure out how I can get you to see this. Here we go. Okay. Let me open up for questions real quick just to make sure we don't have anything. Go. Anybody have any? Well, there's really not a way to unmute everybody. Oh, there it is. I think. No, there's not. So if you would just type in your question and then I can unmute you individually if that works. And just type a question, it's down there on the bottom. If not, we will get into, is there a link to the LMS portal? Sure. To get to the link for the LMS portal, it is this up here. Make sure you can still see that. In 1 second. Yeah, it's this bar up here on the top here. If you just type in the -decor-group.skyprepapp.com, you also should have received an email as a franchisee where you're able to get your login and all that. If not, you can email me after this course, after this webinar, and I'll get you, make sure everything's done there. Let me see if I can see the rest of these real quick. Is there a link to this? So you got that. Right now, we can only assign all courses, not selected courses, correct? Right now. You cannot assign any courses as a manager right now. Only admin can do that. And the reason why we don't want everybody to be an admin is because as an admin, you can change anything at all in the program, which would be hectic if we got people putting the wrong type of information out there, making the wrong type of courses with the wrong answers, mistraining people, all that kind of good stuff as well too. So that's why we don't allow that. They're trying to find a way where we can give a manager more control to do things like assign certain courses to certain employees if need be, but as of right now, there's not. You're right. So I'll show you the workaround we made for that. Which honestly, in my opinion, going through this for days and weeks, there's really not a course that not one person shouldn't be doing. I mean, honestly, I think it's important for your admin and salespeople to understand how lights go on. The reason for that is that they take a call. They could also take the option of learning how to answer a service question instead of calling the owner, calling the manager, calling a lead guy on the field. So you kind of help eliminate that too, but that's just my opinion. Can learners take courses and assessments on their cell phones, or does it have to be done on a laptop PC? This is web-based, so honestly, what I know about computers, web-based is web-based, whether it be, now, do I know if it works on Chrome versus Safari versus Firefox? I don't know those answers. I haven't tried it. But if it's web-based, it should be able to work anything. Kind of think of the WEC system a little bit on this, how the WEC is web-based, so you can use it on any type of platform. And that's how this would work. So when you create or add a new user, do you just set them up with their username? Typically, it's going to be their email address is their username and password. Yeah, you'll set all that information up. They'll get a notification once the email is set up. That's why it's a required field. When you do that, they get an email as an employee, whether it be professional or personal email. They'll go into the link and it'll ask for their password and all that. If you ever have an issue where an employee has changed the password and they don't want to show you anything for whatever stupid reason, you can email your FC or me, primarily probably me. I can actually, as an admin, go in there and reset passwords, change passwords, log in as that user. I can do all kinds of cool things like that, so no problem. I want crews to complete courses together, watching courses together on a projector and handout. Yeah, that's perfect, Tina. That's not a bad idea. You can just use an example, you can just use one person's login if you wanted to, or as a manager, you could do that as well. You could just go into your learner mode role and do those courses as a group if you choose to. I would probably suggest doing it that way rather than choosing just a random employee's login, just because of the fact that if you want them to do training at home, I know some people have talked about paying employees to finish training at the house at like $5 a class with a past assessment on the first 2 attempts. take that for whatever you want. But I think that if you ever wanted them to do it on the outside or at the workplace, it would be a better judgment on how they're doing rather than a class. All right. So when you create or add a new user, did that one, sorry. Set them up with your username. Sorry guys, this is messing up. All right, so did that one then. Well, last one, if the employee doesn't have an email, can we use ours? Sure you can, but understand this, if you use your email or a email, just set them up a Google account. It takes literally 5 minutes or less. The problem is if you use an existing email account, then you're not be able to make another user if that email account has already been used once. Set them up with a Gmail account, you know. It could be Philip at, you know, the Decor group, or Philip at Christmas Decor, Virginia, or whatever you want to call it. You make it easy. 5 minutes setup, pretty easy. And also gives you another way to communicate with your employees. All right, well, if that's all the questions, I'm actually going to delete these so I can see new ones that come through. And then we'll get into the live demonstration. And we have another. I had to step away for a call. How and when do we receive the login information? Brian, you should have already received it a few weeks ago. If not, reach out to me after this and I'll get you your information and resend you your password and login. All right, so he doesn't need login stuff too. Yeah, anybody who needs login stuff, just I'll put my email and stuff on here and you can just shoot me a message and I'll get that done within 24 hours or less, hopefully today. All right, so when you log in, this will be your first screen. This is where, as you can see, I have multiple different logins here, but I'm going to log in as my learner learner manager account, not my admin account. So that'd be my personal email. Log in. As you can see, this is the same screen I showed you on the PowerPoint here. As you can see here, I have two options, manager and learner here. So as a manager, let's work from the manager, then we'll go into the learner role so you understand that. So I have my dashboard here. If you wanted to see ungraded assessments, if you were grading assessments, which doesn't really make sense to me yet. And again, I'm still learning this as we go. But as far as that goes, it's pretty much graded at the time that they submit the assessment. They get an instant grade. You get an email if you want the email notification of what they scored on that particular course. And then deadlines. What this means is, as an admin, I can set deadlines. I can set courses that only start on Monday and they end on Friday, which tells an employee they have to get it done within this window. As of right now, we are not, as admins, going to do any of that, just because I can't control any user to make sure. You could say, hey, Justin's like, hey, I want my employees to finish this by Tuesday. Can you set up a time period? Well, if I do that, then it sets a time period for the whole entire network as an admin. And that's one thing that we're getting SkyPrep to help us understand, innovate, and create more access as managers for you to do these things for your group setting, right? So that's where this would come in once that comes around. So when you go to groups, I believe I'm in a group. I'm in 2 groups. Okay, you can be in multiple groups, but more often than not, you're gonna be in one. So actually, this is my group here, Flynn Test Group. And then I have a subgroup that I made as my admin account called Installer Flynn Test Group. So when I click here, as you can see, I can message the group as a whole. So if I go into my test group here, I've got 2 employees. I've got Matt Reed and Nathan Reed, both work for Inception. Just for example, I have them here. If I want to add a new user, I can just click there, fill out this information, the top 3, create new user, it sends them an email automatically. Welcome to Christmas Decor's LMS system. Please click this link to get your login information set. And that's where they can set their own passwords and stuff like that. But the email will be their username. So, and then I can run all my reports there. If I run these reports right now, you really won't see anything because neither one of these guys have taken any courses since I just set it up last night or 2 nights ago. So you can always go back to my groups by clicking on that. Run the reports. If you run the report, you click on it, this is what happens. It asks you to save it somewhere, you save it, and then it pulls up an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can do all your filters. All I can see is the introduction to Decor'S learning system. Sorry, I'm reading a question. My screen switched when you switched to questions. Is everybody else? Everybody else viewing my screen? Everything fine? Okay. I would, Jim, I would probably, I'm not sure if you back out, if it'll let you back in to the webinar. It should. I would try that. Exiting out of the webinar, come back in and see if that works. But for everybody else, it seems that it's working just fine. Don't know how to tell you besides maybe you hit paused on the screen on the left there. If not, so. Okay, so once you get your groups all done, you can go to courses. Of course, you're not enrolled in anything because you're a manager, right? My ILTs, which is managed instructor led training. This is kind of like what, goodness gracious, my mind's fried right now. Tina was talking about. If you want to lead an instruction, you can do that as well too, once that is allowed for managers to do. As right now, only admin can set that up. So if I set one up for your group, everybody's going to get it too, which might not be the right thing to have on there for everybody. So with that being said, as of right now, you can't use that, but I would just use your manager role. What you do is you come in here to learner. Oh, before you do that, these three dots just hide the toolbar. So you can ditch that if you want. I always leave it open. If you click here on your name, you can go to your account. You can go to messages. Messages means you can message another user within the group. Announcement board, if there's any announcements coming up, you'll see things there. Introduction, when they first log in, you'll see this. It kind of gives you a brief idea of what this is, how it works. Stuff that you'll learn here, and that's also on the fact sheet. Messages, you can just send, receive, sent, inbox. Especially when a manager messages a whole entire group. This is where they check all their messages for the LMS system. So you can also go to your account, change your stuff, upload an image of yourself if you wanted to, change your password. Right now I have email notifications on, language, time zone, additional information, whole 9 yards. So we'll go back. So now we'll go into the learner. And there's not a lot with either one of these. There's just a few things you can do as of right now. I think later on, once we get this more developed, the manager role will have quite a bit more responsibility and things they can actually change for its users. Okay, so as a learner, this is my account still over here. Let's go. I'll go to my learning. My learning is the area to which I have already said, yes, I want to take that class, or yes, I want to take that learning path. So find a learning path, you just go to course catalog. Kind of like in college and in high school, you had a course catalog where you picked your classes that you wanted to take for that semester. Same thing here. These are courses, and these are learning paths. The difference is learning paths are actually multiple courses that you can only do in a path setting, which means I can't go to step 2 until I complete step 1, or class 1, course number 1. I can't do course number 2 until everything's completed on course number 1. Question, if we do have the courses as a group, is there an option to just print out the exam and hand it out instead of having each individual take the class online? As of right now, I don't know the answer to that. I will look into it, Travis. I'll write that down. That way we can look at that. That's a good question. So let's say I want to do Selling Christmas. I'm going to enroll in that. So I've already enrolled in it now. When I go to my learning, there it is, Selling Christmas. It is now under my course. Now my learning path I already have is field installation. One thing I just added yesterday, which is very important to take note of under course catalog, I made a new learning path called General Uploads. And these learning paths, as an admin, I can choose to lock and unlock certain courses in order. which prevents people from skipping forward. On the general uploads, there's no lock, which means you can take anything in there you choose to. When I do that, you see now I have a new course, which is the new timer class I just made as of, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. Sorry if you already said this, but as the manager, can I also take the classes? Yes, you can. I have not changed roles. As a manager, you have 2 roles here on the left. You just pick what you want to be and do. You would have to take the classes as a learner in this learner role here. Okay. The general uploads, that is going to be designed for quick webinars, like this webinar right here, right? I could literally, after this is done recording, put this in general uploads as a class, and then I can create an assessment in probably less than 3 minutes, and I can ask 5 questions. 5 things that you might have learned in here. And one of the questions would be like, general uploads learning path. Is that made for webinars and quick facts, or is that made for long, lengthy training courses? And you pick the multiple choice. True or false. You can also do written questions as well too. So now that I did that, there's only one course in here. So if I go into the view the learning path here, you can see I have the calendar timer here. So I can launch that from here, or I can launch that from the courses up here. So let's do this real quick. It's actually pretty quick. I made this, I believe, for Richie John's Ask For It conference. So here it is. It kind of tells you how much of the course is actually completed. As of right now, it's 0%. This bar would fill up as I go. The reason for that is if they paused it to go to lunch, they paused it to do something else, phone rang, whatever, they came back to it in an hour. Here it is. They know where they're at. As you can see down here, this has a big giant lock on it on the right side here. The reason for that means I cannot take this. You cannot access this item yet. This could be due to one of the following. You have not completed the previous modules and assessments. The date that the module becomes available is in the future. The future will never have to worry about. It's always because, hey, you have to do this first. As you see, the total time required on this class is 5 minutes and 38 seconds. The reason for that is because that's how long the video is for this training on the digital calendar timer. Once the video is complete, they can fast forward the video, they can go back in the video. Even though they fast forward to the end, they still cannot take the assessment until the total allotted time for the video is complete. We designed it that way so people can't just fast forward and try to skip through this real quickly. So when you launch the video or the course, this is brought into you by YouTube. It'll go through here for 5 minutes and 37 seconds. And it kind of talks about, if no one's watched this, it's a pretty good video. Not trying to toot my own horn, but it's very informative. It's great for your guys to learn. I know there's always been questions about the calendar timer, how it operates, why it doesn't work when you plug it in, because you need 2 AA batteries in it before you plug it in. So I can't fast forward it, right? So we'll just let this run out for quick. Any other questions while this video is playing before we get to the assessment? Okay. While you're typing that, I'll kind of hit some highlights. Not every course will have an assessment. Without assessments, some courses don't require them. And what I mean by require is the person who created the course doesn't feel like there should be an assessment for that course. Primarily because it's just an informational course. Can you watch on your phone in the field? I'm sure you can, Martin. Martin asked, can you watch these videos on the field? I'm sure you can. It's all web-based. It just takes you to a link from YouTube and you just watch it like anything else. It's kind of like playing a video on Facebook, I would imagine. So not all the courses are required with assessments, just because they might just be a general information or update. It could be how to fluff greenery, and the person creating that probably just wants to get some new information or new techniques out there and doesn't feel like taking the time to make an assessment. I'll tell you this, probably most of the classes I take are courses I will make and continue to finish for people who've started them. I'll probably end up putting assessments with them just because I feel like assessments is the only way we'll be able to gauge and how our employees are doing, if they're actually doing this. It's just keeping people honest. So good question, Martin. What else while this is going? As you can see here, you can break it down. You'll see, you can always hit the down arrow even during the during the course and see how many steps there are. If you've been in this before and you looked at the field training part of this, you'll understand that there could be as well as up to like 16 different courses or table of contents within this course. Those are considered learning paths, so you can't fast forward. And I know there's been some dilemma on why we did some things the way we did it. And I honestly believe the way Tiffany did this, if you look at the field training learning path, we put OSHA as like, I think 1 or 2. If you're like, well, I don't want my guys to look at OSHA, I want them to get training. Well, we believe that it's very important that all employees understand the safety regulations of our business, and without those, we're not going to allow you to take that next course without passing the OSHA assessment we made. I have noticed though that some of the courses that have been made, some of it's kind of redundant on some of the information, especially like on roofs and ridges and fascia. So I'll probably be editing those, kind of thinning them out a little bit to make it a little bit more of a streamlined type of course. Other than that, how much time we got left? We're more than 3/4 way there. So any other questions about the LMS system so far? How many total training videos are there? That's a good question. Honest, Justin, I just kind of been diving into the LMS system myself with the help of Principal Lighting with Gary and Tiffany Fouts. I couldn't tell you the honest answer how many videos there are. The reason why this is a video is because I was asked to make a video, and I was like, hey, this would be a perfect course, especially for production guys to understand. Not every course has videos. I know that because I've been through some of them that don't. There could be certain segments of a course that have a video, where the whole course is not a video. It could be a lot of PowerPoint, which a lot of them are. And then there can be sliced in the middle of that PowerPoint a video that you have to watch. That could be 30 seconds or something like that. So, but I don't know how many videos there are as a whole. Do you prefer videos? You think your guys would be more inclined to pay attention via a video or a PowerPoint? What do you think? Your guys probably do. I like the videos. Yeah. They're very informative. I've tried to make the videos I've made a few of them. I try to make them as super simple, quick and easy and to the point, not a lot of fluff. So I know time is money, and if I can get these guys trained properly, the quickest way, and ensuring that they have all the correct and all the information they need, that's my typical videos. This one's 5 minutes long, so. With wording like this is good. Yeah. If you looked at our nighttime videos, you check those things out. Those are really nice. So it's the good thing of Apple Movie Maker. All right, so we completed the video now. Now, if you look, I hit the blue arrow to go to next. All right, takes me to my assessment. It says there's gonna be 6 questions. The passing mark is 80%. 80% is just something I picked. I don't know if we might make that 90. Again, I'm going to keep on saying this later on once we get SkyPrep to innovate a little bit more for us and give the manager more control. You can kind of pick whatever you want it to be. And then you can see the attempts. I can change the unlimited to 3 attempts, and then my status right now. So we'll go ahead and get started. So let me delete this. Can we print any of the pages displayed within some of the courses? I don't know that just yet, Richie Johns. I need to find out exactly if we're able to print. I would imagine screen printing would probably be the only way I know of doing it right now, but something I'll ask SkyPrep when I have my meeting with them. All right, calendar timer assessment. When installing the calendar timer, what must you do first to get the calendar to power up. Plug it in, put in batteries. I try to make the answers in most of my assessments to be somewhat, not say confusing, but I want them not to just see an obvious answer. I want them to actually see if they paid attention, and then I might throw in something like wind the clock. If someone puts that, we really need to have a talk. So we've got to put the batteries in first. And it saves the question every time. Once you finish answering it, you hit save. That way you can always keep tracking in case you have to leave to take a break or answer the phone or something like that. Question number 2, when placing the batteries in the timer, what size battery do you need? Again, if they pick flux capacitor, you might need to have a talk. When getting into the programming mode, how many seconds must you hold the program button for? This one's a pretty good question. As you can see, any of these answers seem like they'd be right, especially if you didn't watch the video. And then also there could be like the trick question. Oh, you don't hold it, you just press it once. This is where you can actually kind of tell if someone actually paid attention during the video. And not only is it verbally communicated in the video, it's also written on the video within words. So, how many preset programs are there in the calendar timer? Again, another question. You can see they're paying attention. What is very important to pay attention when programming the on-off times? That the clock is wound up, that you call your boss to make sure that your time is correct on your watch, that you choose AM or PM correctly when setting the time, and that you look at the sun to input the correct time. Obviously, AM, PM. And we kind of drive that home because that's a service call if they don't pay attention, right? If they accidentally put AM instead of PM on the on time, well, that's definitely a service call. So, and that might be part of your paying production stuff too. You know, that's a mess up on their part. What is the largest benefit to having the digital calendar timer versus the digital standard timer? It has more buttons and a longer lead cord. It is green, which matches the rest of the decor. The calendar function prevents us from coming back out to turn on the lights. It has a battery backup in case there are reindeer or unplug it. And the calendar function. There could be some times when creating a class, a course, or an assessment where we might screw up on accident and accidentally choose the wrong answer after we type, because we type all these questions in and all the answers, and sometimes if we forget to highlight the right answer, there might not be a correct answer, or there might be 2 correct answers. What you can do, you can do 2, you can do 3, you can do A and B, you can make whatever you want, or we could accidentally choose the wrong answer. So we can review the assessment after we're done, or we're going to submit. So right now we're just going to submit it. And this is what happens. All right, so we have the course, we have the status is passed, the results is 100%, required score. Now, if I go continue course, if I start the assessment, I'm gonna go through this quickly, and I'm just gonna hit a few different things here, kind of show you the difference if they answer something wrong. Okay, now that I've taken it again, as a manager, you'll be able to see that they actually scored the first time 100%, and they took the course again or the assessment again for some odd reason. Maybe it's the same year, it could be a different year. You can also go back and reset years, that way they can't see previous answers. So we're gonna submit this. You can see I scored a 50%, I failed. Then it highlights the questions that I missed, 1, 2, and 3. I got 4, 5, and 6 right. Also, later on as a manager, you can scramble the questions and shuffle them around so then they're not always, hey, it's A, B, C, D, E, and then A again. Those are the answers, and he gives it to all his buddies working with him. So you can shuffle those around if you choose to. So number 1, I chose this. The correct answer is put the batteries in. We can choose to hide this if you wanted to. We probably should. I don't know. I'd like to get some input on y'all after you take a few of these with your guys to find out if you want the correct answer shown or not. That way they can take the test again and understand and try again, or 2, they can see the answer here. And then they can go back to the video. So that's what it looks like when you miss a question here. So, all right, so once the course is complete, that's done. We'll exit the course in the top left. Once you exit the course, you'll see that I have 2 check marks down here on the right now that shows that the course is completely completed. And I'll go back to my learning. So also a cool part is these 2 buttons up here. I can also sync a calendar, which is, I'm not gonna do that right now. It'll sync to other calendars on the desktop or the computer, or I can click on calendar and I can actually look. I wonder if it's updated yet. It should say, maybe it takes 24 hours in the next day for it to update. It'll say calendar course taken, calendar assessment completed. So if you're wondering, or they're wondering, hey, did I take that already? And if I did, when did I take it? They can go back here through the months and find the date they actually took that course in that exam. So go back to my learning. So on a learning path, this is what a learning path looks like. I've completed 9% of the learning path here. As you can see, the calendar timer, I actually put in the learning path for field because I think that you need to understand that. But also remember that the calendar timer was in another learning path as well in its own general add-ons, right? So whenever I complete a course that is in either 2 or 3 learning paths, it will count it as complete in the learning path, even though I haven't done this one before it, because I've already taken it somewhere else. But as you can see, I cannot launch any of these other ones until I take the first one. And a lot of this stuff you're seeing here comes right out of the book from Quick Start. So, and then we can also make a certificate if you wanted to. You know, you have all that options as well. You can go as a learner. You can go to completed courses, so you can see what you've done. You can view the details. If there's a certificate, you can click on it, print it out, all that kind of good stuff. If there's an expiration date, you'll see that there, whole 9 yards. So it's pretty simple after that. This is what I was talking about when I was saying that as a manager, you cannot assign a course to an employee or a learner. Yet only admin can do that, and it would just take way too much of our time to actually do that for every single employee that works for a franchise. So what we've done is we just made it where it's under the course catalog now. So once I make a course active as an admin, once it's completed, you'll be able to see those in the course catalog down here, learning paths, and also other courses down here as well. Other than that, let's see, I think that's pretty much it. I can kind of show you exactly what we're looking at. Is the LMS system live now? Yes, it is. We I'll show you this. I don't see why I can't, but oh well, we'll do it. So this is the admin. It's pretty, I can kind of see as an admin how many users are logging on per day, how many admin logins. So even look at the users here now. I mean, we have some active people. Like as of, you know, the 24th, you know, we had 27 users on. Are there any old videos going? So yes, there are some old videos going up in these courses that you will see Blake Smith in his 20s and 30s in. We are working with Gary to shoot new videos for a lot of these new courses and old courses, trying to get it fresh, updated, all that kind of good stuff. If a group watches the video together, they still need to log in to take the assessments and show the course progress. Correct. If they take the course together as a group and you want them to individually take an assessment on that course, here's the only downfall to that, is they will have to go through the whole entire video again. Now, that means they can start it, go to another page, or walk away since they've already watched it in the class, and then go take the assessment after that. Or eventually, once we can get y'all all sorted and squared away, hopefully in the future, you'll be able to unlock that course from jumping forward. You can unlock that if you choose to for your group. So this is kind of thing, learners logins per day. So as you can see, we had more learners out that day, 19. Let me trash that. Okay. I can select a group. As you can see, every franchise has been imported into this. This is why I say that you actually have a login. just check your email. It's sitting in there somewhere. It went to the email address that is associated with your franchise account as the main prospect, or as the main communication email. So that might be your front desk, it might be your admin, it might be your CFO. So check that out. So I can look at all that. Teaching, this is where I add materials. On the materials, I can choose what I want to look at. So Christmas decor, you know, quick start materials. These are all the quick start materials that we have right now. Again, some of these courses, most of these courses are completed, and these are long PowerPoints. These are 60, 40, 80 PowerPoint slides each, and then you'll have some videos and stuff like that too. Specialty products, Minleon, Versaline, all that kind of good stuff. Learning paths, you can see I'm making learning paths as well, and then courses. As you can see, all the different courses. SkyPrep for managers, there's the test one, there's conference. Most of these are already up and running. Inactive courses here are the ones that we've started working on. We just haven't finished just yet. We're waiting on more updated material. Maybe it's video, maybe it's updated fact sheets, that kind of good stuff. This is where I'm going to be living slightly during the season, updating things I think that y'all need immediately. Like probably my next one is going to be RGB C9 stringers, the new RGB Plus line. I'm going to be working on that probably the next week or so, getting that up to speed so y'all can have that quickly. But other things like Color Splash, Inception, Lightorama, you know, that proposal tools for nighttime decor, tree of lights, I'm not going to do this year probably, depending on my time frame and how much time I actually have to work on this. But that's going to be like starting January 1. That's going to be my project, is getting this stuff all cleaned up, finished, ready to rock and roll for you to have, so you can start as early as you want on training. Reporting, I can save favorite reports, report builder, schedule. I can run scheduled reports, so I can email every Monday morning at 9 a.m. of anything that was done over the last week in classes. People, I can look at users individually. I can look at groups as a whole, which would be your franchise system. I can make courses through lead instructor. I can make new learning paths, all kinds of things. So if you see something you'd like to learn more about, just email me and I'll kind of give you an idea when we're thinking about launching it or finishing it, or hey, that's a great idea, I'll try to get something out there quickly. What you're going to see more often than not from most of the FCs are going to be quick learning ideas. Like when we did the Generation 3 webinar on Inception or Permalights 365 about, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? I'm probably going to upload that webinar that Matt Reed did, that I assisted with, and I will probably make an assessment, probably 5 or 10 questions assessment on that. So you can go through that as well too. And as you saw, there are the options for doing this for Barcana, Christmas decor. Barcana, not so much. This is more, again, just a product arm. I don't know why there's even a folder there. That might be for the, yeah, see, there's nothing in there. But as far as Christmas decor, Inception lighting, so become a certified trainer, you know, we might take the certification to here on some of the aspects. Nighttime decor, be great learning there as well too. So let's see, sales app. So there are some sales up stuff in here. Mike, I know, is working a lot on that too. Field training, as you can see, anything that says YouTube on it is going to be videos that are going to be instilled inside the courses themselves. So this might be into tree lighting, and then you get into C9s. There might be a slide that is a video. So any questions? But as far as you're concerned, as of this point right now, you're pretty limited, which is a good thing. You can add your users, make sure they, and then run the reports, which I've talked to some people, that's all they really want to do. Like, hey, I just want to assign my new employee a login and I want to check on his status when he is taking my exams. And that's all I really care to do. Some people like to be more involved and actually take and build classes, and which is probably not going to happen because we got to keep the standard on the, you know, the same across the board. But they want to be more involved, as in like creating dates at they can pick a course and they can set a date that it has to be completed by. So you have a lot of that. So all right, well, we're coming up on an hour. Any other questions? Give a few minutes for y'all to type if you're typing. If not, we will end this up. Let me give you my information. Can you explain the learning path one more time? Sure. All right. So, learning path is a path. It is Spanish. I don't know Spanish, so we'll go to the English one. Here we go. A learning path says that I must start at 1 and I cannot go to 3 unless I pass 1 and 2. This prevents people, and I know there's some dilemma here between some franchisees saying, hey, I don't need my guys to know about design basics and safety basics. I need them to know about ground stake lighting and roof lighting, and I just want them to take those. As of right now, in this path, we require that you take the safety basics first, field installation design basics, the calendar, timer, then you get into your power, because nothing's going to work unless you do power. And then you do your prep, and then you get into your roof, ground, window, tree, and shrub. Later on, I think down the road, the plan is that you as a manager can be able to assign a certain class to certain learners. So you'd be able to change all that if you want to. So it's just all the courses listed in order they need to be taken, correct. And they can't fast forward, they can't jump. If you look at my other one here, with the exception, and that's just because I have the rule turned on that they cannot fast forward. If you get into my general uploads, this is where webinars, quick facts are going to be at. I don't have it turned on where you have to start a calendar timer and work your way down. You can choose anything in this learning path. Basically, I'm using the learning path as not really a catch-all folder, but a folder for quick webinar things like that as well too. Webinars that I find that I can attach an assessment with, so people can actually watch it. Good question. All right, well, told you it'll be a max hour, so we're coming up on 4 o'clock Central Time. So if there's anything else that you can think of that you need, no problem, Justin. Here's my information, reach out to me. If you don't have a login, email me, I'll flag it, I'll make sure I try to get it done either today or first thing in the morning. Reset all your stuff there for you so you can get rolling. So cool. Well, thank y'all for attending. I really do appreciate it. Y'all have a great afternoon.